Why are we doing this shit again, man? First, it was with Scarlet Witch when it was decided she'd take an entire town hostage to play house with her toaster. With the WandaVision series being set up as some big sympathetic circle jerk therapy session when that could be furthest from the truth.
They'll never know what you sacrificed for them.
You know the villain of the show was actually giving her props for her villainy, right?
Oh, and I sensed this place. The afterglow of so many spells cast all at once. Thousands of people under your thumb.
Well, that's something special, baby.
She trapped people in the correct use of POV as she marionetted their bodies around to substantiate her twisted desires, and then at the end she goes full mask off as she begins to fight with Lady Harkness. What on God's big blue marble could that show even be about? Somebody help me. You know the actual heroes of that show, and I fucking hate to say it, was the government.
Monica, she blasted you halfway across New Jersey.
And I survived because she chose to protect me.
She's holding thousands of people hostage.
And it could have been thousands more if she hadn't put up her own quarantine.
I mean, fuck the mask off scene with Harkness. This was the actual mask off scene.
This will be your only warning. Stay out of my home.
You can hardly blame us, Wanda.
Oh, I think I can. You don't bother me. I won't bother you.
I wish it could be that simple. You've taken an entire town hostage.
I'm not the one with the guns, Director.
Cut the shit the fuck off!
What is it?
But what is he doing? I
don't know.
Guys, the MCU has made Scarlet Witch the beacon for femcells everywhere because she herself is one. I mean, think about it. She goes on a rampage because her sex doll breaks and she loses her Tamagotchis. It's like freaking out on your parents for deleting your save in Sims. Why are we propping this crap up as being acceptable? It's cope, dude. And all these people suffering for the mistake that she made. You know she could have saved Vision in Infinity War if they had just began the process of disconnecting him from the Soul Stone sooner. And she had the raw emotional power to create a new fucking Soul Stone in her hex, but she couldn't think of a way to free Vision from the one that was in his head. Many people suffered and died because of her lunacy, and she's being propped up by Marvel and the Hello Kitty fandom as a woman of power, justifying her horrendous actions because she's hurting. And now we find ourselves at modern day, with the release of the latest episodes of X-Men 97 and the internet showing why media literacy is very, very important. Alright, so let me add some context. After the events of a shadow organization giving the mutant nation of Genosha the Hiroshima and Nagasaki treatment, which resulted in the lost lives of many a mutant, rest in peace, you raging Cajun.
In the land of the Cajun, where love intertwines, he's a hunter, he's a dreamer.
Story takes a very dark turn, and the world is flipped upside down, wary of what's to come next as a result of this senseless attack. Is this the beginning of the human-mutant war that everyone's been fearing? The most affected seems to be Rogue, and she shows little concern for what comes next because she's on a one-woman mission to make the person responsible for this pay. Or is she? On her rampage around the globe, she finds herself in Madripoor, atop the UN building of the area, finally getting her hands on the man responsible for not the attack on Genosha per se, but the progenitor of the mutant kind's oppression, the Sentinels. Bolivar Trask, ridden with the guilt of his inventions, gives the X-Men one last tip into what's to come next for their kind, before taking his own life in an attempt to atone for his sins. But Rogue is having none of that, rather opting to take his life herself, resulting in some rather shocked results from her fellow teammates, and that itself unveils a secret that the X-Men never saw coming. Well, multiple secrets really. You need to watch the series. It's actually pretty good, I have to admit. Except that the video game Matrix episode, that shit was fucking boring. It was just so boring. I just stopped watching the show for weeks because I thought that it was gonna be more of that garbage. Watched newer episodes and I was, I was fortunately mistaken. But let's focus on why I made this video. Rogue executing this guy is just a load of fucking horseshit, man. No, like seriously, it's horseshit. It literally comes out of nowhere. It goes from being a solemn dreariness of a man ridden with the guilt of what his creations have been used to do to innocence to cartoonishly sinister. And even the line she says before she drops him is fucking whack as hell too.
I have nothing.
Same, sugar.
Whack.
Don't get me wrong. This is literally the same exact instance as what happened in the Winter Soldier, and I already touched on that topic as well, how Walker did nothing wrong, because he didn't. He killed a terrorist. Why they hated him for it. But when Rogue does it, you have absolute morons misunderstanding what it means to be a hero and actually applauding this dreck. Even the show itself framed what Rogue is doing is bad, not good. But some of these tweets, man, whoo. Now, mind you, he's not innocent. He, in fact, is the creator of the Sentinels, so his hands are just as bloodied. Though his intentions may have been pure, that doesn't excuse his part in the tragedy that took place on Genosha. But this should not be the norm. People should not be wanting for heroes to do this. It destroys what it means to be one. Sure, you can have your anti-heroes, but leave out the regular ones, please. It's always the cringy edgelords that champion this dribble. Like this tweet that went viral a bit after the episode dropped.
More superheroes should be like Rogue and Logan, actually. I'm tired of the whole I'm better than him speeches when it comes to confronting the villain, like we don't care, just end it.
And of course, people in the replies are calling this user an idiot because of course this is a dog water take. There's only one thing to call people who go around doling out what they deem their own version of justice. That's executioners. And executioners the X-Men are not. Well, maybe Wolverine, but this isn't about him. This user also goes on to list these 4 things when faced with an actual thinking crowd. 1, this is fiction. 2, that man literally built a machine that was used for genocide. 3, Rogue is an ex-villain and absorbed villains and she is a complicated character. And the last bit, no, I don't feel bad for a fictional genocidal maniac. I actually think we should celebrate it and pat Rogue on the back for a good job done. So they started off with this as fiction, making the point that because it's make-believe, we should not care about what happens, and then ends it off with, but this is a good thing, showing that she does care about the events of the fiction. What is it with people like this and always defeating their own point? While it being fiction is correct, that doesn't take away from the fact of caring about what happens. That's why people keep up with works of fiction in the first place. If you didn't care, this wouldn't be a post or discussion to be had realistically. It's just a convenient cop-out to reflect any criticism on your opinion, a poor opinion on that. No, heroes should not go around killing their villains. It's not their place. Yes, they should be better than the genocidal maniacs. That's the whole point of being a hero. Stop projecting your homicidal tendencies on these characters and calling it good writing. Because frankly, I feel like this was the only scene in that episode that didn't really move me. Because while the actions are justifiable, that does not make them okay. And I'll pull it back to John Walker. What he did was morally questionable. He did kill a terrorist that was deemed a threat for taking the lives of innocents, whom he was also tasked with taking care of by his government. Let's get some things straight, yeah? This person, active threat, literally hurled a giant stone at him moments before his demise, and he was not surrendering, mind you. His hands were up defensively. Usually when people surrender, they shout, "I surrender," just saying. And the person that Rogue killed was an unpowered human non-combatant that was going to kill himself anyway. A hero should stop that from happening. Sort of like how T'Challa stopped Zemo from offing himself, opting for him to be brought to justice, even after killing T'Challa's father, mind you. And while it's pretty much identical in framing and execution, you know, what John did as well as what Rogue did, for whatever reason, the reception is what has me worried. Rogue went on a revenge quest, and when prompted with the chance to team up and dole out actual justice, you know, that scene with Captain America, she denied it and continued on her quest for absolution. I mean, it's not like Captain America didn't want to help, but he himself knew the limitations that came with being an agent acting in a foreign land. And all Rogue is doing is just adding more fuel to the flame for why regular humans should not trust mutants. But that comes with its own set of problems. Because Rogue actually went through with her revenge quest and ended up killing the man, this revealed a new, more dangerous threat for her team. While now they may have some idea as to what's to come next, any more possibility at gathering intel was dashed with her reckless act of passion. I mean, think about it. Trask probably had no idea he had this Prime Sentinel DNA cybernetic hullabaloo in his system, so if they took him in for questioning, Jean could have probed his mind and found out about it. Or the Beast could have ran tests on him and discovered it as well. And that would have given the X-Men much needed intel in regards to what's going to be happening in the future, because essentially what's being developed are human sentinels. And if one human sentinel was able to body the primetime X-Men team, I think it's going to be curtains for these guys. Back to the aspect of Rogue being a murderer, let's not forget that Cyclops lost the mother of his child and was still level-headed enough to do things by some level of discretion. Rogue loses her boy toys, goes on a rampage that ends with her killing a man? What do the writers mean by that? No, but in all seriousness, if heroes go around killing bad guys, that unironically makes them no better than the villains they put down. Which kind of ruins the hero if they had no penchant for taking lives before, and after taking the life of this person, show no remorse for what they did. Like, I personally think that properties like The Boys have ruined superheroes for a lot of people because they think that making the heroes flawed and more human-like is actually good writing, when in reality, The Boys is more of a parody, and idolizing these people are the exact opposite of what you should be doing. And when I say say flawed, I use it in the sense of making them terrible people and not complex characters that you actually give a rat's patoot about. And even the quote-unquote good guys of the series, you know, Mother's Milk, Billy Butcher, they're still terrible people that you should not emulate. But I think that's a topic for another video that I might make, maybe. And even though I had that to say about The Boys, mind you, I still love the show. I enjoy it very much. I'm not a hater, I'm just pointing out the kind of obvious. Now, Rogue has now crossed a line that she can't come back from. I mean, it's different for Logan because he's made a life for himself taking lives, and he has to live with that burden being as old as he is. In universe, if Rogue and more X-Men like her continue to go down that path, it would only accelerate the Human Mutant War, and that's not something anyone would want. Though it would make for good television. Oh, writers, hear my plea. Let the heroes stay paragons so we can continue to look at them as beacons of hope and true justice, not some 14-year-old AU fanfic. But you can say technically Rogue didn't actually kill Trask because the Prime Sentinel protocol was activated and Jean could still sense his mind past all that cyborgnetic nonsense. But Rogue 100% did what she did with the intent to kill. And I think its execution was kind of ham-fisted at best and caca piss water at worst. I am in the camp for the writers should not have made Rogue do this, but if they were going to insist on her killing someone, they could have made it a bit more shocking or entertaining. Because like I said before, that line when she was having the dialogue with the guy that was already defeated and then her just dropping that supposedly cold line out of nowhere before killing him is just kind of lame. Or like I said before, caca piss water. If you want a better depiction of a hero losing their cool and killing a villain, catch up with Invincible Season 2. Peace.
In the land of the Cajun where love intertwines, he's a hunter, he's a dreamer, he's a man out of time with bullets in his pocket and love on his mind. He's searching for a soulmate, a bayou dream to find.